Hello, and welcome to day 2 of Lightning Talks, and welcome back from your lunch break. In case you missed it yesterday, Lightning Talks are informal, 5-minute talks, often impromptu. Slides are at the speaker's own risk, and it'll cut into their time. We'll see how it goes. And then just a reminder of how this is going to go. The speakers will speak, and if they go over 5 minutes, I will be somewhere over here, and you'll see me start to clap. And what I want you to all do is also clap. So if you see me like, what do you do? Thank you. Perfect. All right. So I want the same kind of energy for our first Lightning Talk speaker, who should be coming up to the stage right now and is going to be speaking to us about comedy and technical writing and how they are related. So big energy. Please welcome Adrian.
Hello. This is one of those impromptu ones. I only decided to do it yesterday, so it's good that I do improv, I guess. So yeah. Also, like, we don't have slides. Like in improv, actually, the stage just has 2 chairs on it, so I'm very comfortable here. The only thing that's making me nervous is, like, at an improv show, there's never this big of an audience. Just like a short aside for anyone who doesn't know what improv is, it's like a bunch of people who are making stuff up on stage in front of about 5 people, and one of them is doing the lights. So, but it's fun. And I started doing it in 2019. Like, I was probably, a lot of you can relate. I was a burnt out product manager, unemployed. I needed work and I needed a hobby. And in 2019, I started doing improv, and I became a technical writer. And I think, like, there's a lot of stuff that I was learning in both of those places that crossed over. And so I figured I'd do a talk about that. Well, I did have this joke, right, that I forgot that I wrote. It was that when I started to be a technical writer, it was 2019, I said right at the end. And one of the first things my boss said to me was like, oh, we got to get tickets and travel budget for Write the Ducks 2020. It's going to be awesome. And then we didn't end up going for some reason, so I don't know if anyone was there. Yeah, that was my joke. So how do they relate? Like, the first thing is that improv, you're just making stuff up on stage in the moment, right? And so when you're writing as a technical writer, it helps to not, like, overthink. I think there's a post on Fabrizio's blog about writing fast, which I read recently, and is similar to also advice that comedy writers have given. Like, one of the writers from The Simpsons, like, when they write a script, they will just write insert joke here if they can't think of a joke in the moment and just move on. And I think that's what you need to do with docs, so you can get it in front of the SMEs or whatever faster and get their input. So then the other thing that's similar is the notes. Like, in an improv scene, you'll get notes from your coach and it will be like, why did you introduce this thing and then never mention it again? And it's similar to some documentation. You're right. Okay. So active listening is something that you have to do in an improv scene. You have to be really listening to what your partner is saying. And that's what you have to do also in those interviews with SMEs, because you don't want to be wasting their time. You want them to want to have those meetings with you, so you need to listen, understand, agree, support. This is like basic tenets of improv, which I think are good for life as well. And if our life is being a technical writer, then it will be good for that. So yeah, one of the other things is like, one of the things that you have to do as a technical writer is like, have empathy with the reader, and also know that there's different types of reader. One of the talks yesterday mentioned that. It was very interesting. I'll look at the slides for that when they're online, or they are. But yeah, so in improv, you're in, like, being characters all the time, and you have to think, how would this character respond to what the person has said? And that helps when you're, like, thinking about your documentation and thinking about, oh, this is a developer. I'm not a developer, but how would they think? So there's crossover in that. And I don't know. The other thing is I just like improv. I love it. It's like a it's like a passion. So yeah, 4 minutes, so I'm going to finish with, like, you know, a lot of people, when they do these lightning talks at the end, they'll be like, oh, if you want to know more, I got my watch going, I'm a professional. Yeah, they'll be like, if you want to know more, come up to me and ask questions. Well, I'm a shy and socially awkward person, so if you do that, it will get weird. So you're forewarned. But one of the last things that I did in my job, unfortunately, my boss who hired me, great guy, Dustin, he was like let go as part of a reorganization, and the team gifted him Intro to Improv lessons as his leaving gift. So he's done Intro to Improv, and he's a much better person to talk to than me. He's very personable. So if you want to know if improv can help you be a better technical writer, please talk to Dustin after this talk. And leave me alone.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Also, I realized I was so excited about the Lightning Talks, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Carolyn Stronsky-Vore. I'm your Lightning Talks wrangler, coordinator, whatever title you really want to give me. And you all made my job really hard. So today, there were over 20 submissions. So thank you so much to everyone who submitted a Lightning Talk, who wanted to get, yeah, please. And I just want to say, like, even if it wasn't selected, like, it's really hard to put yourself out there, and I think it's really great. And in the future, submit on Monday, because there's usually a lot less. All right, so our next lightning talk is from Sadhana, and we're going to be talking about annotation in docs. Please give a warm round of applause.
Hello, everyone. So, as an advocate for improving the user experience throughout my documentation career so far, annotations caught my attention. That's a feature that adds valuable contextual information to the users as they walk through the documentation. So, in the previous projects, I have worked on context-sensitive help. And here, if you see in the contextual help, it is within the platform where you will see a learn more link and a description one-liner and points to the docs. So this kind of contextual information, why wouldn't it be possible to add it within the docs platform, that is apart from the application itself? So that is the gist of it. And the goal is to keep it relevant and have product-specific explanations, and without requiring the user to switch tabs or move to a different page, or even go to a different section, or go to glossaries. So wouldn't it be useful and better for users if they can find all the information they need in the same page? So that is what the annotations is about. So basically, simplicity, so that without breaking the continuity of the information, the context, we keep the docs available and also the information of the terms within the page. So, going in detail a bit more on explanatory annotation. So we can have different types of annotations. So basically, notes, it could be warnings, or it could be just an additional information which the users can find it useful. So here, the use case that I have chosen is explanatory annotations. Basically, that you can apply it in the APIs or user guides and also tutorials. So in collaboration with the product managers for the product that I work on, I have developed the use case of using these annotations within the overview page and in the illustrations. So basically, the reason is most of the time when the new user or an advanced user, when they want to familiarize with your product, the product overview or the illustrations are the first page that they would get into, and having annotations in these pages will be much more valuable than adding them in the other pages. So that is the ideology behind it and the approach that was used. So powered by Gitbook. So basically, we're using Gitbook, and you can also have other different platforms. It could be the Gitbook or even Document 360, or even for that walk me guided throughs. So they have these annotations powered, and we use Visual Studio Code. So based on that, if you see here, at the end of these MD files, you can define it. So I've just given you how we have implemented it. So you can add these one-line descriptions on what each of these terminologies mean to the user. And you can call it within the text. So if you see there is a code, and then you have the numbers. So basically, if I want to use the number 4, then I use that in the code within the line where I have used the description. So those are highlighted in green for reference. So how does it look like when you render it? So for example, Anycast routing, DDoS, layer 7 protection, SSL, and TLS support. So these are some of the terms where I have used annotations. And when you hover over it or when you click on it, it has to appear. So here comes another part of keeping in mind the WCAG guidelines, so which I will talk in the next slide. So just to give you an understanding, so I've used it in the overview and also in these illustrations to tell what each of these terms mean. So if you see, the user don't have to move to a different page, but they can click on it and get the information what it means. And this actually gives the contextual information without having to move to different pages, and the line of thought for the users are intact. So to implement it, they are not a replacement for glossaries, but they are in context and inline. And what else to keep in mind? So if your documentation site is already in compliant with WCAG, so ensure that then they are also keyboard focusable. Then there are different color contrast ratios that is kept in mind. And they are also easily available when they hover over it. So these are some of the key factors that you can also consider while implementing annotations. And happy to know how it is once you have implemented. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And while we're doing a little text swap, so AI has undoubtedly changed our, landscape as technical writers. And you all wanted it, or at least at least half of the people who submitted lightning talks wanted an AI talk. So I'm giving it to you. Very generous, right? So, what? Me? Yeah, I'm giving it right now, my AI hot take talk. No, but we do have someone probably much more informed to give you a talk about this. This is Jorge, and he's going to be talking about how we, tech writers, make AI intelligent. So please, warm round of applause.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Jorge. I've been working as a technical writer for quite some time. And I think, probably you're thinking, at a tech event, again, an AI talk, I know. But I'm going to put it from a different perspective, I guess. So when AI came out first, probably when OpenAI became widespread, I think we all were like, oh Lord, am I losing my job? There goes my paycheck. But as I was starting to play with it and to try to understand what they were doing, I realized that it's good for giving answers to the questions that you have, just like search, but it has to know what they have to talk about. And as I kept on asking it and using it, I discovered that those replies those answers came from what we technical writers write. If you've tried it, you can see that when you ask about a software product, AIs cannot really go into the software product and use it themselves. They rely on the documentation sets more than the marketing websites that products have. So that's why I learned, that's a good selling point for us as a career. You need us to give factual information so that AI can digest and then reply to customers. And also, as now they're evolving into offering documentation solutions for end users. And I work in a company called Empathy AI. It's called now Empathy AI, but we've always been working in e-commerce search. In the beginning, we did more of sort of traditional search, but we discovered that AI was very striking as what we were doing. We understand search always as intent rather than just about asking questions. So we decided to implement that. We're doing it ourselves. We believe that from the beginning it was a privacy by design documentation set, e-commerce solution. And we think that that must be the principle, even though now with new AI solutions that challenge that and try to store your private data to create these solutions. So we believe that it should be sovereign and sustainable. That's why we also power these our AI models with the solar panels in our office. As you may know by my name, I'm Spanish. We can rely on the sun to actually power AIs. Probably not the same in Berlin for what I've lived in the last 2 days. But yeah, so basically, as we were developing that and having that in mind, we thought, okay, so everything that we develop in AI for like e-commerce owners that want to have it in their websites, we can also apply it to our documentation set, which is what you can see here. Like we have the same documentation set that all of you probably work on and similarly. So you just have like the old-fashioned guides that tell you how to do something. So we have this tool called Backroom, for instance, that lets you work with the search of your shop interactively in your shop. You don't have to enter a dashboard or anything. So now what we've done is you can actually ask the documentation itself. So if you want to see how can I start using Backroom, for example. Sorry, I'm just using one finger, which makes it difficult. So now, instead of just going through the boring manuals, you can just go through the boring generative AI reply. Of course, this is a demo. It will break. Is my connection bad? Well, it will load. It's usually very fast. But as we said, like this is a live demo. So basically, is that like you can ask not only about more end-user facing documentation, but also like I don't know, like configuring the API or things that are more technical that makes you follow a set of steps. And also from the references in the down there, like this could be done by ChatGPT as well, but they don't do it so often. It also takes you to the source it's based on. So thank you very much. I'm also like very, I find it funny that I'm telling that AI won't take our jobs, while I asked Proton 5 minutes ago if I can die from a stroke for being so nervous. So if you want to try what I just heard, you can do it through the QR code or just add me on LinkedIn and I will send it to you. It's Jorge Leal and I work in empathy.co. So thank you very much, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Jorge. It's Halloween on Friday. Yeah? Okay, that was not the reaction I wanted, but it's fine. I'm wearing my spooky season sweatshirt. You might not be able to see. It's Sanrio characters dressed up for Halloween. And to get a little spooky, these lightning talks, we have Yulia coming up here to tell us why tech writers make the perfect detectives. So please, warm energy to Yulia.
Hi. Yeah, I had actually submitted 2 alternative titles, but they went with the safe choice. The first one was 100 scrambled pages, 6 murders, 1 tech writer's obsession. And I'm going to be talking about this book. I don't know if anyone has heard about it. It's called Kane's Jawbone. And this one was written in 1934, so by a British author. So the language in there, you can imagine, a little bit archaic. And it even says on the book now, the world's most fiendishly difficult literary puzzle. So a friend of mine found this like 2 years ago, and she thought it was a great idea to dive into it, try to solve it, even though when it was first published, it was a competition and only 2 people actually solved it back then. And then there was like silence for a while, and there was one person who solved it as well, but missed the deadline. And then in 2019, they brought out a new edition, which was then in this nice book format, or well, not so nice, because as you go through it, as I said, it's 100 scrambled pages, so the story is not in order. You need to first find the order, and then find out who was murdered, by whom. So yeah, book is not so great, because eventually you end up ripping out the pages, which doesn't feel so great. But the original version was actually made printed on cards, so very much nicer. Yes, so now I got to scramble up my other pages here. So first time I got the book, I read it cover to cover. Obviously, it didn't make any sense. Even like just a single page was like, what the fuck is this? And I had read it through, and I was like, someone died. 6 people died? I don't know. There was no murder. I don't know. Because I expected something more obvious, like, you know, they found Miss Scarlet in the library with a knife on her back. But no, nothing like this. They talk about gardens and, I don't know. I mean, a bit of poison and stuff, but that's about it. So we went about it, just taking a Google Doc, which, well, you know, as a tech writer also, you sometimes think it's a good idea to start with that. Put our notes in there. Of course, that got big and chaotic. So after a while, I was like, okay, let's move to something a little more feasible. So we moved our notes into Obsidian. I'm sure many of you know the tool. So it was all like cleaner, nicely structured, and exactly what we do as a tech writer. We bring structure into chaos, which you also have to do with this book. And then a bonus for Obsidian also is that you can see like all the nice little connections that you start to make between the pages and the characters and whatnot. I had prepared slides, but then I skipped them because I couldn't get them done. But yeah, you can find me later. I can show you some because the webs are like really nice. But yeah, so we bring structure into chaos, which you need for this book. Also, there's a lot of gaps to fill in, and what we like a challenge. Yeah, also you get to dive into a lot of rabbit holes. There was one fun thing. I don't even know if it was relevant to the story or it was just a term that popped up on some page. But I found out about the 1858 Bradford humbug poisoning. And that involved sweets, the so-called humbug. I don't know, any Brits here might know what it is. I see some nodding. And that left 20 people dead, 200 more seriously ill. And it all started with, back at the time, sugar was very expensive, so they would mix some other stuff in it that is cheaper, and some stuff that is called daft. But then someone at the pharmacy mixed stuff up and labeled it wrong or didn't label it. So they bought 12 pounds of arsenic trioxide instead. Yeah, you don't want to put that into sweets. So yeah, so if you want to find more about the book and solve some murders, chat me up after.
Great. Thank you so much. So, lightning talks, I think I mentioned this yesterday, are one of my favorite parts of the conference because you get a little taste of everything. You get to see how our role as documentarians really can just influence basically every aspect of our lives in a lot of different ways. And this next talk also just proves that point. So next up, we have Marco, who is going to be talking about how audio engineering is just docs as code, but louder?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, please, warm round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Hi all, thank you very much. Yeah, recording music is just like TED Talks, but louder. When I don't make typos at scale at the company that pays me for it, I play things with strings, except pianos. I like guitars and bass. Last June, early June, I recorded an EP with my trio because we just felt like having something for ourselves. So we were the producers and the consumers and the target audience. Absolutely, it's really non-mainstream music. We would empty this hall probably in 0.4 seconds. It's a trio that is the result of a company reorg. Basically, we started as a 70s disco band, and then there were too many people with too many busy schedules, and 4 dropped, and there was only a drummer, a bass player, and a guitar player left. And we decided, you know what, we don't care, just play what we want. Which is not super easy because I like metal, the bass player likes funk, and the drummer likes Latin. So that's what we play. Yeah. So we had to build a product. How do we frame our songs? How do we make them? What kind of vibe do we give it? Also, our songwriting process is non-mainstream. All the ideas started from the drummer. The drummer started with something. The bass player followed, and he had his bass line. And then, of course, there was the product manager, the developer, and then the tech writer would add his stuff on top. I was always the last one who added my guitar parts on top of the drums and the bass. When we went to the recording studio, a very nice small studio in Amsterdam, I I got a little bit nervous, so I did my homework at home. But I also insisted on recording with a metronome. Metronome is a little bit like Git. You hate it initially, and then you love it. I'm a big supporter of metronome, and actually there's a band here in Berlin that's called Panzer Ballet. Check them out, they're really awesome. And they rehearse with metronome because the music is just insane. We decided to play to record with a metronome, and then we decided to set up our tone up front. So behave a little bit like the shift left that you have in companies, move all the important, relevant stuff as early as possible in the process so you don't have to deal with it at the end. So we set up drums, tone, bass tone, and guitar tone. Guitar players are a bit dumb, so everything works for us. However, for me, that was a little bit like setting up the style guide and the tone of voice of the docs, the way in which you want to play, the way in which you want to use dynamics to create a little bit of variety so you don't have sentences that are all 16 words long, for example, and the way you want to address the user, which in our case is very tongue-in-cheek. I really enjoyed having my tone set up in front because it really saved a ton of work afterwards. We didn't have to fix much in the mix. Everything was done ahead of time. And we didn't have any last-minute issues or last-minute oopsies because we set up everything properly. We set up our pipeline at the beginning. The interaction with the bass player and the drummer is pretty much like managing stakeholders, especially in a type of music where we don't like 4/4 very much, and we don't like power chords very much. And they tell me, hey, play a little bit like Al Di Meola here. Oh, do something like Yngwie Malmsteen. So they threw all these random references, including Alan Holdsworth, to me to say, play in the style of. There was stakeholder management, and sometimes I had to ask for more information about that. But we pulled it off, and we recorded an EP with 7 songs, and some last-minute facts is that bass used 8 tracks, drums 24 tracks, and guitar 32 tracks. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh my God, amazing. Everyone was on time. That's incredible, both days. So please give another warm round of applause to all of our lightning talks from today. Yes. Not everyone was new to the stage, but everyone was new to the Write the Docs stage, and we love that. We love to see it. Thank you so much. I'm Carolyn Stronsky-Vore. I love doing lightning talks. It's my first time. So, oh, thank you.